For over 120 years, cinema has been around, and on that forefront has always been one thing we have always been presented: the guts, panache, the dialogue that's always given us a different outlook on life. Because of these roles that we have involved in such a beautiful art form, it's made some of us who we are today, the actor. Today, we get a better understanding of why we love movies and what keeps us hanging on. Today, we find out why actors are so great and how they really captivate an audience in the role they take. Today, we break down our top 5 actors of all time. This is a Comic Talkers production, and you are listening to Just for Flicks. What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Patty B, your host. It's me. It's me. It's Patty B.
You're
Ooh,
never
that.
DDP, buddy. I'm sorry. I'm putting it out there right now.
What's that?
You'll never be DDP. So just stop.
You just heard him. That is my co-host. That's Mr. B Dog, Mr. Brandon. What's going on, man? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for this list. This is a fun list to do again. I'm ready to go over my top 5 actors. I know I'm going to piss Pat off on a couple of them that I have lower on my list compared to higher on my list. I know I'm going to piss him off with a couple of my honorable mentions on why they did not make my top 5.
So, I mean, your list alone, like, did you have a hard time making it? Like, what was the process of what you were trying to do?
So it's kind of the same thing I looked at with actresses. They have to be
Mm-hmm.
characters I could sit here and actually rewatch a lot of their movies.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I'm not gonna lie, there were a couple that were fighting for number 5. But they were just actors I had to make decisions on, and it was just a decision that I just went, I can't put them up there compared to some of the other guys I could have on my list.
Mm-hmm.
So no, what about you, Pat? What was
This
yours?
one was tough. I think there was a couple of stragglers I had behind, and they kind of had to be kind of much what I did with the actress's side is what I did with my actor's side, as far as filtering out what who was kind of better than the other, in my opinion. And then they kind of just got filtered into my honorable mentions. So I had 2 lists, and that's again, with the honorable mentions, that's gonna be fun too, because kind of get to go over what missed our list, right? So no, I'm ready to get into it. I'm excited, and I don't know. Do you want to go first, or
Yeah.
who would you? Yeah.
I'll go first.
All
Just
right.
10 fans as normal, top 5s, top 10 lists. These are our honor or these are our personal lists. These are not an overall list. So fans, drop in your comments below what your top 5 actors are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm gonna do the same thing I did to Pat with the actresses. I'm gonna name some movies. And if you don't know who this actor is at the end of it, he owes me $5. No, I'm just messing. Not the point. I'm just messing. He just looks at me with the dirtiest glare there, fans. I'm not sure if I'm gonna survive the night. Um, anyway,
You're like 1,800 miles away. I think you're fine.
whatever. Okay,
I'm
here
gonna
we
get my
go.
wings.
Here we go. You ready? First movie I'm going to bring up is JFK.
Okay.
Okay. Second
Okay.
movie I'm going to bring up, Darkest Hour. Third movie I'm going to bring up, and it's a or I'll give you another one before I do it. The Fifth Element.
I know who it is.
And then the big ones I'm going to bring up too is not only going to be the Harry Potter franchise, he's also in the Dark Knight trilogy. Who is it, good sir?
Who could it be now? It's Gary Oldman.
It is Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman is one of those actors that I love. Every movie I've watched him in, I have never been disappointed with him. JFK plays Lee Harvey Oswald. He is the murderer of JFK. Darkest Hour, he is Winston Churchill.
Mm-hmm.
I love him as Winston Churchill. You wouldn't think that's Gary Oldman, and it is. And he plays such a great role during the time of Dunkirk and everything, and Britain entering World War II. It's
Mm-hmm.
amazing how he does it. But some of the roles I really want to talk about, and I'm not even really going to go into Fifth Element because, again, it's a great role of his. But compared to 2 of my favorite roles with him,
Well, Leon the Professional is another good one too.
I forget. I always tend to forget he's in Leon Professional.
He's great in Leon the Professional.
But I do tend to forget about him a lot in that movie. I just don't like. He's in Air Force One with Harrison Ford. He's
Mm-hmm.
he's in Lost in Space. but he's in Hannibal. There's this guy is in a lot of stuff that people tend to forget, and he's amazing. He's a great actor. Um, but the two I want to really bring up is his two iconic roles for me: Sirius Black from Harry Potter,
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Gordon from the Dark Knight trilogy. Two of my favorite roles of his. Sirius Black is just because in the Harry Potter world, you either have white or black, right?
Mm-hmm.
Either the good guys or the bad guys. Sirius Black is kind of one of those first, like he's a good guy, but he's not afraid to do bad things to get what he wants.
I gotcha.
He's the gray hat, I guess is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And his relationship with Harry throughout the movies tend to grow over time, and I enjoy that. That Harry can rely on him as like an ally to him. His relationship with Lupin, I think, is amazing in those films. You know, you have those iconic moments with him that I enjoy. And Sirius Black, when he, spoiler, dies, it's tragic. It truly is,
What does he say? Nice one, James. And then he gets
pretty much. He, Hadaba Kadabra, you
he
know.
gets a yeah, Dava. Kamago Gabaga.
But I want to talk about my favorite role of him, and that is
Adobo Kadobo.
I want to talk about Mr. Commissioner Gordon.
Yes.
Gordon.
He's great.
He is my favorite James Gordon. I think this is the first time we get a Batman film where it actually kind of focuses at points on Gordon.
Mm-hmm. It does, especially Dark Knight.
Yeah, like now since that, like Batman Begins, I felt focused more on him more than Dark Knight did. Dark Knight, he was one of the main
Yeah.
prominent characters, but Batman Begins, he was one of the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy him in those films because you get to, I think it set the standard for Gordon. Any Batman movie from here on out has to have a prominent Gordon. The only ones you don't see that with are Ben Affleck's. Well, it's sad because Ben Affleck's would have been amazing if they would have done something with him. You remember who played him in Ben Affleck films?
Mm-hmm.
It's Mr. J.K. Simmons.
Oh, okay.
And they only had him for like 2 scenes, and that is it. They didn't do crap with him afterwards. It was bad. And then they went to oh gosh, what is his name? Robert Pattinson's role, and he's a pretty prominent character.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is like working by Batman's side the whole movie. But Jim Gordon or James Gordon, whatever you want to call him, it's just perfect in these films. Dark Knight is by far like way more superior than Batman Begins, and I still will put that. But I like him in Batman Begins more because it's that sense of he has to trust Batman because he's one of the only good people in this city that he can trust. I love the whole Batman Year One concept we get from this comic or from this movie, and that is mostly focused around Jim Gordon. It's not really focused around Batman in that comic. It is more about Jim Gordon. And you get that more in Batman Begins. But you
Mm-hmm.
also get more iconic scenes from The Dark Knight compared to you do that. I love one of my favorite scenes, and it's probably one of the more tragic scenes in the movie, was the ending where you have him and Harvey Dent, where Harvey Dent has his whole family up, ready to kill him. And Batman somewhat breaks his non-killing rule and pushes Dent off the edge where he falls to his death. And then Batman at that point has to say, I have to be the villain here. You can't make me the hero for saving you because Dent was looked up to as a hero.
Mm-hmm.
He turns himself into the bad guy. And I love Gordon's perspective. Now, going back to Gary Oldman, that's my number 5. I'm turning it over to Pat for his number 5.
My number 5, iconic actor, been around since the 60s. I always loved him. When I was growing up, his movies is what I grew up on this actor. He's the legendary. He is the one, the only, the Mr. Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, I'd like a chicken salad sandwich.
Pale Moonlight.
What's that?
Ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? You can't handle the truth.
You can't. You simply can't handle the truth. I love Jack Nicholson. Talk about range. He's been in so many movies and it's crazy. Like I'm looking at all the movies he's done. And just the 70s alone, like
He had two big
he
hits in the 70s. Big
yeah. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest
and
and Chinatown.
yeah, then three, because there's another one.
Well, The Shining was in 1980. Is that
Oh,
what you're
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay, yeah. The
I thought that was
Shining.
like 70s.
Well, so
But
you got Chinatown, uh, A Safe Place, Five Easy Pieces. Five Easy Pieces. That's a good one. I've seen that one.
and then you got the 80s, and you have the iconic Joker. Come
You
on.
do. We got the Joker. Mars Attacks.
I forget he's in that movie.
As Good as It Gets.
Yeah.
Hoffa. A Few Good Men. You had mentioned it earlier. A Few Good Men, I know, is a favorite of yours. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is a big favorite of mine. I love his role.
Yeah. He's
I love his role in that.
and there's a lot of big name actors in that film that people
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd, Danny DeVito, a lot of people. Scatman Crothers. Scatman Crothers is also in The Shining with him.
Yep.
The Shining is an awesome movie. I love the way I was watching clips of that movie a few weeks ago, and it was very. I was starting to realize like how much I enjoyed the actual just cinematography of the movie.
I agree with
Like
you.
that alone is just awesome. Like the shots they have.
Well, and that's probably the only thing I'll agree with you there, because I am not the biggest Shining fan.
Hmm.
It's because for me, again, this is another author who was not happy with the work he got saw. You know, you have Stephen King, the icon of horror when it comes to books, who wrote that story.
Hmm.
And Stanley Kubrick came in to create the story. But yeah, the shots in that, like the hallway scene. The hallway scene to me is one of my favorite scenes where you see the twins down.
Yep.
The ice shot when they're going through all the snow and everything. I
Yep.
thought how they did that. The iconic bar scene I thought was amazingly shot. There are great scenes in there, but I just feel like Jack Nicholson was probably the best part of that movie.
Hmm.
Everything else was just like,
The waiter, I like the waiter in the bathroom.
that'd be my
That's my favorite. I think that's one of my favorite scenes in the
what
whole
kind of
movie.
sparked his insanity from here on
Yeah,
out.
well, you don't, and I like how they don't show the waiter's face the whole time.
Yeah,
It's kind of there's a lot of suspense involved in it, but yeah, no, Jack Nicholson's one of my absolute favorites. I think he'd be on a lot of people's lists. Iconic.
so I'll go into my number 4, and it's gonna be hard for me to name films because I know this guy's gonna get it. Okay, I'm gonna try. Okay, first one I'm gonna mention is Glory.
Okay.
Second one is going to be the Dark Knight trilogy.
Mhm.
Yeah, my
Okay.
top 3 or my 5 through 3 are all Dark Knight trilogy actors. Okay,
Okay.
my third one, and this is probably where it's gonna give it away. The Shawshank Redemption.
Seeing Bruce, yeah, Andy Dufresne.
And 7 and $1 Million. I am going with Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman is a great actor to rewatch. Again, another versatile actor. He can play comedy, he can play serious, he can do a lot. I love him with Jim Carrey. I think that movie's kind of stupid at point, but I love him Bruce Almighty. I love him, in Glory. Glory is one of my favorite roles with him. He
Mhm.
is Sergeant Major John Rawlins. And if you never watched Glory, What's Wrong with You? You need to. It is a great Civil War film about the 54th Massachusetts, which is one of the first all African American units in the Civil War.
Hey, B Dog, what's wrong with me? I haven't seen Glory. What should I do?
Go watch it. It's easy. I'll go ship it to you right now.
Ship it. Ship it right here, right now. Right here,
No.
right now.
Sponsored. No.
This
Anyway,
has been brought to you by Glory.
and I know a lot of people like Shawshank Redemption. I
Yep.
do enjoy that movie, but I don't like it for him as always. I liked it more for Tim Robbins. I think
Tim Robbins, yeah. I think, but I do think Morgan Freeman's character in the Shawshank
It's important.
Redemption very important,
It is
very
important.
important.
It's Tim Robbins kind of like character development, and it does.
Hmm.
Dark Knight trilogy. He plays Lucius Fox, and I enjoy
Yep.
him in that film. He's great. I love it. Didn't you get the memo? That's like one of my favorite lines in all Morgan Freeman films. It's like,
Mhm.
you didn't get the memo? You know, I love it when he looks at this old boss and just goes,
We do not allow cell phones in here.
yeah,
Sorry, I must forgot I had it.
I love him. I just love like that was like the biggest fu to his old boss. I love it. But seven, seven is a creepy movie for him, and it works. And for him, he's one of the cops that's trying to solve this case. And he's kind of like the secondary to Brad Pitt. This is one of the only Brad Pitt films I will actually say I will watch.
Okay.
It's fun. It's a very interesting thriller that you get put in, and Morgan Freeman's good in this film. He
Hmm.
makes it more intriguing. But one of my favorites of all time is Million Dollar Baby,
Yeah.
and he plays Eddie Scrap Iron, and I love him. He did win Best Supporting Actor for this film. He was deserving of it. He's also plays in Unforgiven. A lot of good movies with him, and I'll put it out there, it's him with Clint Eastwood. Any movie I have seen him with Clint Eastwood is amazing. Unforgiven, Million Dollar Baby, two of my favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite westerns of all time, and one of my favorite sports movies of all time. Morgan Freeman is one of those actors I enjoy a lot. How can you not say you don't like Morgan Freeman?
Yeah.
Well, Morgan Freeman is iconic. Like he is the voice that you hear on commercials, you hear on shows, you
And
hear.
that's exactly what I was gonna say too, is like his narrating, his voice, everything.
Him and
That
Anthony.
alone is just iconic.
Yeah, like him and Anthony Hopkins are amazing at narrating. I'll put it out there. But yeah, that's my number 4. So I'm turning it over to Pat for his number 4.
Yeah. So for my number 4, he's another iconic actor such as Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman, both old time actors. This one got more involved in the 1970s as well, especially with acting for the likes of Mr. Martin Scorsese. Did a lot of movies with him. His name is Mr. Robert De Niro. Um, The Godfather, Part Two. You really don't like?
I like him in certain roles. I don't like him in everything.
Don't make me mad.
Goodfellas I liked, Raging Bull I liked, and Tech.
Mhm.
3 of
Yeah.
his most iconic films.
Goodfellas?
Yeah, Goodfellas I had up there. I said
Okay. Oh, you did? Okay.
Goodfellas,
Sorry.
Driver, and I said Raging Bull. I think
Casino's another good role of his.
but see, that's you. I don't care for Casino as much.
See,
That's more you. I don't do that movie. Doesn't that movie have Tom Cruise in it?
no.
Which one has Tom Cruise? Or that's Cocktail. Never mind. I don't know what the hell I was
I
thinking.
need to watch Cocktail.
No, you don't.
I'm a Tom Cruise fan. I like Tom Cruise.
I hate Tom Cruise. So
Show me the money.
no. No.
How about no?
How about no?
$1 billion. That'd be nice. $1 billion.
Yeah, that would have probably made Jerry Maguire happy to hear for his client.
Yeah, right.
And $1 trillion would have been even better.
No, I mean, like you said, Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, The Godfather Part Two, A Bronx Tale.
Yeah, I forget he's in that
A
one.
Bronx Tale is a fantastic movie. Casino is one of my favorites. The Intern, that's a newer movie. I've seen
I
it. It's
enjoy
not
him.
great.
That's kind of fun to watch him, and it's because Anne Hathaway is kind of like I believe, is his daughter in the film.
Yeah.
Interns at her company, so it's kind of.
Heat is another one.
I'll give you that.
Michael Mann film right there.
I believe you haven't brought the biggest
Michael Bay film.
Deer Hunter with him and Christopher Walken.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
That is a great movie. Like,
Yeah.
I will admit that right now. I forget he's in that movie, and I enjoy him in that movie.
Did you ever see The Irishman?
Yes, I did. That one I was kind of interested to see. It was okay.
The CGI was terrible, but
And as
it
I
was good.
said, it was a Netflix film. Do you expect any more from them?
No, I don't. I don't. Um, I know him. It's just Dirty Grandpa was a funny one.
Yeah, yeah,
Meet the Parents. Meet
yeah.
the Parents is iconic.
I was gonna say I'm gonna shot you
Him
up.
and Ben Stiller together were great. Once Upon a Time in America. Him and James Woods.
I forget he's there in that movie.
That's it. Woo-hoo! That's a good one. I need to rewatch that. It's been a couple years since
You
I've
pulled
seen that.
you pulled that one out of your ass for that one. I got another one for you that I'm shot
I
you up
pulled that. What? Oh,
that last one out of your ass, man. I forgot all about that movie. Why don't
Once
we
Upon a Time. Yeah.
bang the drum slowly? That is a baseball movie with him in it, and it's one of his early. Yeah, I pulled that one out of my ass for that one. I knew that one. Come on.
Analyze this and analyze that with Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
Um, Another one that doesn't get talked about enough is his performance in Cape Fear. He is weird in that movie, man. He's like
Yeah.
this Cajun, like I don't know,
I think that's actually the movie that made me not like it.
really.
It's the one movie that kind of made me go, I could take it or leave it.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I just think he's done so many movies. He's one of those actors that have far better movies than he does not really great movies. You know what I mean? So,
So, but yeah,
but yeah,
I agree with you there. But if you're okay with it, I'm gonna go
I'm okay with it. Go for it. Yeah, you go for it.
number 3. I'm gonna name movies 'cause I don't think you're gonna get a lot of his movie history. A Bridge Too Far. Zulu. Going old school.
You are going old school.
The Prestige. I'm going a little newer. He is also in the Dark Knight trilogy.
No, I already know this.
And my favorite movie of all time with him in it is Secondhand Lions.
It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. That's a tearjerker, buddy. Who is it?
Is it Nigel Powers?
You got an issue? Here's a tissue. Yes, it is Michael Caine. I love Michael Caine.
You mean my cocaine?
I love him, Michael Caine. And yes, I went old school with those first two. You know who else is in The Bridge Too Far, buddy? Mr. Henry himself is in that movie.
Mr. Henry.
Mr. Henry, buddy, from that is Mr. James Caan, bud. That has him, Sean Connery. That movie is stacked. If you have never watched that, it is about the Operation Market Garden, which is one of the only missions that the airborne failed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But anyway, Michael Caine is a very great actor. Again, Nigel Powers is kind of an odd role for him, but it works. Got an issue? Here's a tissue. You got iconic lines from it. Here's the ones I want to talk about, and there's 2. Alfred from Dark Knight.
Yep.
And Garth from Secondhand Lions. Garth, to me, is one of those actors or one of those characters that you would love to sit on a Saturday night and listen to stories.
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't have asked anybody better to play that but Michael Caine. That movie, I was 8, I want to say 7 or 8 years old when that movie came out. And it is one of the first movies to ever make me cry at a very young age. Especially that ending where you hear both uncles passed by an accident. And you have Josh Lucas, who plays Haley Joel Osment's role in the movie, go out there and it's fun because not only that, but you get to see the great-great-grandson of the man they faced in all their stories. So it's kind of like a good conclusion that, hey, what they've been telling me is actually true. And it's fun to hear it, to see all those adventures that he had, and he made them into child books. You have those moments. And Michael Caine is one of those. Like, my favorite scene in that whole movie is when Robert Duvall's in the bar fight. He's like, don't even get involved. Just mind your own business and eat. And he's sitting there like, oh, yep, here's a knife. You know, like he throws it. Or like, don't bother him, because if you bother him, he's going to hit you. Like, let's go sit over here. And when Robert Duvall finally wakes up from whatever he was in, he's like, what are you two doing out here? Like, well, we were just enjoying the view. Because you guys are weird. and he just
You
walks.
guys are weird.
But let's go to Alfred. Now, Alfred to me is my favorite role of Michael. Alfred set that Alfred set the standard to me.
Hmm.
I know I said that with even Gary Oldman. Michael Caine was the best Alfred we have ever received on screen. Period. Like that is a drop the mic moment. He he's just iconic. You saw him take Bruce in as a kind of like his son after his parents.
Hmm.
You saw him go through everything he did. He's his right hand man. He is.
Yeah.
He needs a right hand man back. Yeah, it's just one of those things.
I like how you snuck that in there.
It's one of those things that you love about Michael Caine. And
Hmm.
you see Bruce's parents' death in the third movie, and you see him cry. I failed you, Master Bruce.
I found you, Master Base.
It hits you. It does
Yeah,
hit.
it does.
Michael Caine is just one of those actors that when he wants to act serious, he will act serious and he will make you cry.
Him in Interstellar.
Yeah, I forget he's in Interstellar sometimes.
Yeah. Do not go gentle into that good night.
But yeah, Michael Caine is by far one of my favorite actors, one of my favorite British actors.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Patty B for his number 3.
My number 3 is an absolute all-time favorite of mine. He's almost in every single movie you can think of. It's Samuel L. Jackson.
Mother, no, Bieber.
Mother. Yeah.
I know exactly what movies you're going to talk about for this. So let's
Well, Pulp Fiction. We all know him as Jules Winfrey is one of his best roles of all time, right? I would say more iconic roles of all time. Just his deliverance, the way he, I guess, carries himself in the movie, the way Jules' character is. He's a hitman, but he's on the verge of retirement. He's basically doing his last job. Basically, we're seeing his last day on the job. That's that his whole premise in that if you think about it. I mean, the way that movie cuts around and everything, I know it's kind of hard for some people to keep track of it and how it unfolds, but all of his scenes, I mean, he's only in three scenes in that movie in Pulp Fiction, and it's crazy to just see like the events that happens in that one day for him, and it's supposed to be his last day doing what he does. So the iconic scene where they're going up to 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 interrogate the people that have kind of ripped Marcellus Wallace off and they're trying to get that briefcase back. What you boys been having for breakfast? They're like hamburgers, the cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast.
call a quarter pounder with cheese.
A Royale with cheese, yeah.
Royale with cheese.
And then, dude, him and John Travolta in that movie,
Best duo ever.
they're so good together in that movie.
I agree.
I would say, like, I would put them on the list of iconic duos for sure.
Yeah.
They're definitely on.
But the sad thing is you don't see him in any other movie. You only really see him in those two together in that movie. And
Mhm.
so it's hard for me to put him up there on that iconic duo list when you have movies like Tim Allen and Tom Hanks. You have movies like that where they've been in multiple movies together.
I see. Yeah.
Like, like even like for me, that's like Christian Bale and Michael Caine, because Michael Caine and Christian
Mhm.
Bale played in multiple movie franchises together.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I say that. But
No, you're good.
But let's talk about okay, so what was it? Samuel Jackson also got Mace Windu. And
Mace Windu. Yeah, that big role.
He actually changed the Star Wars lore
Mhm.
forever because of the purple lightsaber. He actually, what was that? Was something negotiated with him by George Lucas, and that changed Star Wars lore.
Well, we also know him as Nick Fury, right?
Yeah, that's not my favorite role with him though.
Okay, we can skip right past that.
But let's talk about that quick too. It was so iconic when they actually did the comics for it, because the comics came before the movies. It's based on
Mhm.
they actually made Nick Fury look like Samuel Jackson in the comics before he was even announced. And then that's when he decided to come on and be Nick Fury because he's read the comics.
Soul Man, great movie with him and Bernie Mac. Lakeview Terrace.
Yeah, that's one of
Lakeview.
my least, man.
What's
That's
that?
one of my least favorites of him. He played a creepy role in that movie. Not like
Black Snake Moan. The Man with him and Eugene Levy. That's a
that.
funny one. Uh, Coach Carter. Coach Carter's another great role of his.
That would be in one of my top fives of his. Coach Carter.
Frozone.
Frozone from Incredibles, buddy. Heck yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I know I talked about it with Pulp Fiction, but he's known for doing a lot of work with Quentin Tarantino, right?
Yeah.
He's in a majority of his movies. Another big role, and I would say this is my personal favorite Samuel Jackson movie of all time is Jackie Brown. Yeah, I mean, you knew I was gonna say it, but no, I absolutely just love how his character is in this. Ordell Roby, he's a scandalous, gun dealer, doesn't care about anyone but himself, wants to make sure he gets his money. It's just he does so good in this movie. The dialogue in this movie is fantastic. Him and Jackie, the way they talk to each other. Him and Bridget Fonda's character too, as Melanie. Another good role by Bridget Fonda. But I love how I love everything about his character in this. He's just ruthless. The whole scene with him and Chris Tucker's character, Beaumont, picking him up. He's like, oh, I need you to come down. That reminds me, I need you to come down and, help me do this deal. I'm buying some guns from these guys I never bought from before. And he's like, I need you to hide in the trunk. Puts a shotgun with him, ends up killing him. So he's not a trustworthy guy. And you find that out throughout the movie. But then him and Robert De Niro together. This is, I think, one of the few times we see them together. I know they're both in Goodfellas.
Yeah, but
I don't think they really have a whole lot of interaction in that movie.
Yeah, no, they played one. I don't even think they met each other. I think Joe Pesci had the same and he shoots him.
Right. Yeah, right. Joe Pesci. Yeah, Joe Pesci's only in it with him.
Yeah, him and Robert De Niro, I think. Well,
I
think Robert De Niro was there with them, and then they shot him quick.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I figured that was going to make your list somehow, some way. But yeah, well, I'm going to go to my number 2.
Okay.
Right now. This guy does not make your list. I'm going to be really pissed off with you.
Okay. Try me.
Okay. I'm not even going to say the movies because you're going to guess.
What?
Okay. Night at the Museum, Aladdin, Mrs. Doubtfire, Dead Poet Society, and my favorite of all time, Good Morning Vietnam.
Okay.
Mr. Robin Williams is up there on my list. As number 2.
You're number 2.
Number 2. Tell me Robin Williams made your list.
He did.
He's your number 1 more in life now. You're not complaining about number 2. So I'm talking about Robin Williams a little bit. Robin Williams by far is one of the best versatile actors I have ever met, or I've ever seen on screen. Good Morning Vietnam. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. For him to be a comedical sense for half of the movie and then go serious. Such a great way acting. People just think this is a comedy movie. It's not. It's actually a different interpretation of war. Adrian Cronauer, who Robin Williams plays, is a radio talk show host. But he's in the Vietnam War in probably one of the more dangerous cities during this war. But he sees what war really truly does and how brutal war can be. Still, one of my favorite scenes is when he is at the bar when the bar gets bombed. And he comes back to it and to his radio show host, and he's supposed to just go back to normal, right? And he goes against protocol. It's like
didn't follow proto.
Yeah, but one of my other favorite scenes is when they get trapped around the military cars. And he at first I don't want to deal with this, but then sees that these guys look up to him.
Yeah.
And then he gets more inspiration to be a better person. I enjoyed that scene. Dead Poet Society, probably one of my favorite serious roles with him.
Mm-hmm.
My Captain, oh Captain, my Captain.
Oh, Captain, my Captain. Yeah, no, that's an iconic. I just watched that recently too. That's a good one.
And then, of course, how can you not think of hello?
Mrs. Doubt, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Or you have a friend like me, you
Well,
know.
one of my favorite movies is Hook of all
Hook,
time.
Hook's a great one.
Patch Adams,
Patch Adams is another great
and we
one.
can't forget about his masterpiece,
Oh,
1 Hour Photo.
stand that movie. I can't stand that movie. As I and what about Insomnia too? Another movie
Insomnia is
that
good.
Insomnia, a movie that you would never think he would team up with the director that was in that movie.
100%. You would
But
not in a million.
oh
Well, same thing for Al Pacino.
yeah, that was just a really random duo and it worked. But another one I enjoy too with him, Jumanji, Jack's up there, um, Flubber. And let's talk about his most iconic one he won his Oscar for after he got, slashed for Good Morning Vietnam, Dead Poet Society, Good Will Hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Good Will Hunting's amazing.
Yeah.
He's great in that film. It's a serious role for him. It's not a comedical role for him. Uh, I just enjoy him. Toys is another great one. The Fisher King, Birdcage.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say it too because it's close enough. I think with the list where I'll say this did make my number one, and then I'll just cross it with my two
Yeah.
to end it. But since it's so close together, I might as well just chime in. Robin Williams obviously was a big part of my life growing up. A big part of what I like to watch. Jumanji was an all-time favorite of mine, still is to this day. And then Hook. Hook was another one. I always, whenever I'd go stay at my aunt's house on the weekends, if my parents went out of town or anything like that, she had Hook on VHS.
Hook
And
me up. No pun.
huh?
Hook me up. No pun intended.
She literally hooked me up. So thanks, Aunt Meg. Um, no, but he's just the range, and he's a comedic actor. I think he also does some oddball movies, like he got Death to Smoochie,
Mhm.
which is a weird one with him and Edward Norton.
Yeah.
Um,
You got the Butler
the
as
but
Dwight D.
yeah,
Howard.
yeah, the Butler. Um, it's just, yeah, man. It's tragic to see the downfall of him, because it's this actor we love so much. I think this was, I don't really ever get beat up. Like I don't ever get emotional when a famous person passes away, but when Robin Williams passed away, that hit me hard, And I think it's because of just how an iconic actor he was, but not only that, just how much he changed the moods of people, right? The way he was able to get his comedy across to other people and change their tone and just have a positive light on people. That's Robin Williams will always go down as someone like that. And I think his acting top notch. I mean, he's just like you said, Good Morning Vietnam. That's a great movie. You actually got me onto that movie. I've never
Yeah,
watched that movie before.
that's one of those movies I felt like he got snuffed. He
Yeah.
was like a running candidate for Best Actor that year.
Hmm.
He snuffed him, and it was
He
like
got snuffed on a lot, right? He won
he
for
got
the
snuffed
Fisher
on that.
King.
Yeah, he got snuffed on the Fisher King. He got snuffed on Dead Poet Society, and he got snuffed on Good Morning Vietnam. Um, oh man, that dude got snuffed big time on a lot of big name movies. Now that's why I said Ron Williams, just like you said too, has always been a big part of my childhood. And growing up, seeing some of his more adult movies, it really shows you how truly amazing this actor was. And it's sad that this is now going on his 10th year, after his passing. Um, it's just hard to believe. I agree with you. You usually don't get emotional for actors. This is an actor I think that shut down the world that whole day.
Yeah. No, 100%.
But still one of my favorite characters still to this day, and it's just because of his iconic lines, is Theodore Roosevelt.
Hmm.
As he plays him in Night at the Museum, and I love him and Ben Stiller. Those two, I always saw myself as Ben Stiller to his Leo.
Mhm.
Time I needed something, he'd always give me advice in that movie, and I go, you know what, that guy's got something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number two. Now I know that's number one.
My number one.
So what is your number two?
My number two. Well,
Well,
so maybe let's do this. Let's do our honorable mentions, and then I'll do my number two.
all
Let's
right.
do it that way. I know we're
Okay.
kind of doing things a little different. It was just
Okay.
I figured it was so close, I might as well just talk about honorable
I'll
mentions.
go over my honorables quick. I'm gonna just rifle them off.
Okay.
Anthony Hopkins is up
Okay. Yeah.
there. Henry Fonda,
Mm-hmm.
old time actor. Burt Lancaster, another old time actor that people tend to forget about. One of my favorites is Birdman of Alcatraz.
Mm-hmm.
Joaquin Phoenix. You cannot have this conversation and not talk about versatile and not think Joaquin.
Yeah.
Joaquin is great. Clint Eastwood.
Mm-hmm.
But I put him as one of my top 5 directors, so it's kind of hard for me to put him up there as an actor. I like him more directing. John Goodman's on my list. Tommy Lee Jones is on my list.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones. Willem Dafoe's on my list. James Earl Jones is on my list. And my last one I had was Jim Carrey.
Mm-hmm.
Jim
Yeah.
Carrey was one of those that Nick too, because
Yeah. Jim Carrey was on my list too. I had to kick him off.
yeah, I had to on mine.
So I had Jim Carrey, Willem Dafoe, like you had said. Marlon Brando was another one I put on here. Patrick Swayze.
Okay, like I thought the one I go to a lot, but I see your point.
Adrian Brody.
Yeah,
Dustin Hoffman. Bruce Willis, another one, an absolute favorite of mine. Has a lot of rewatchable films. I feel like I kind of snubbed him out of my 5 because I was flirting with putting him at that 5 at that why. I always consider 5 being like a wild card spot. And then I had one more, and I know you're gonna get a good laugh on this one, but he's none other than Owen Wilson. Oh,
yeah.
I'm a big Owen Wilson fan.
Um,
Wow, guys! I'm glad I just made the list, okay? Because
yeah,
this is pretty awesome. If
there's
I'm being
there's
honest.
actors I know we've talked about in the past too. I think we should add on there. Daniel Day Lewis. I think Daniel Day Lewis is a great method.
Yeah, I can't focus if you're if the gun's not on the table.
But yeah, but also too, there's another actor, another duo, and I would put this as a like number one in duos.
Yeah.
Paul Newman,
Mm-hmm.
Redford.
Yeah.
Those
100%.
Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. You know, you got iconic roles with those two, and it's amazing to see them. Robert Redford's a great actor, but yeah. All right, so Pat, are we gonna reveal it? Let's do your number two. And
Denzel Washington. I love Denzel Washington. That's
okay.
John Q. That's John Q. Man.
So cute. That's
No, he.
cool. I'd put him in. Like I like.
Malcolm X is great. My father-in-law showed me Malcolm X. I'd never seen it before, and I sat down and watched the whole movie, and I was like, "Wow, this is a good movie." The Hurricane, The Equalizer, his newer movies. Remember the Titans? I think that's an iconic role of his, right?
That and Training Day. Training Day.
Training Day was another one I was gonna get to. Train, yeah, Training Day is a wild movie.
King Kong ain't got shit on me, you know.
Yeah, yeah. You want to try some butt naked? You want to get dirty?
Did he win an Oscar for that movie?
Yeah, and what's crazy, and I always have this talk with my father-in-law. He doesn't think that he should have won an Oscar for that movie, considering all the movies he had done before. He's like, he should have got a movie. He should have got an Oscar for Malcolm X.
Well, yeah, but see, to me, I agree with that statement because here's the thing:
Mhm.
when I look at somebody like Denzel Washington and the Oscar, one of the Oscars he did win was in Glory. It's a great role for him. Like that he is one of the main characters of the story, even more than Morgan Freeman. And it's sad because you wouldn't think that with Morgan Freeman and Denzel Washington. But I believe that was one of his first movies too, was Glory. It was one of his like very first like big roles. Actually, I take that back. Yeah, he was in a couple others, but yeah, that was like his first major role. And that's what kind of set off his acting career. You know,
Yeah.
I agree with you there. Philadelphia is another great
Well, I was just gonna get to that too, because that's your with your number one being Tom Hanks. That's one movie they collaborated on. And yeah, that's a great movie. I watched that for the first time a couple years ago,
Mhm.
but very good movie. Um, no, just I think John Q was another one of mine that I loved growing up. Growing up, watching that movie. Um, American Gangsters.
That's what I was about to say too. That's a great movie too.
Flight is another good one.
Yeah, Flight's a good one.
Man on Fire.
Um,
The little things. And I think me and you had kind of talked about this a couple days ago. With him, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto.
yeah,
Okay. That's a good movie. I would recommend that to a lot of people. I mean, the little things from 2021. Uh the Book of Eli. I remember watching the Book of Eli in theaters.
it's kind of a hard one for me to watch.
Hmm.
One of my favorite movies I like to watch with him is Fences because not only did he act in it, he also directed the film.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's one of the weird ones because him and Viola Davis, who played the main two roles in the movie
Hmm.
on Broadway, as the same two characters. And that was before they made it into the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, so Denzel Washington's a great actor. He can
Yeah.
play any role you give him, and he's great. There are some misses, but I would probably say his role in Glory and Malcolm X was probably two of my favorite roles with him. I also love him and He's Got Game.
Oh yeah. Spike Lee movie, yeah.
With Ray Allen in it, the only player that actually had some acting chops.
Right.
But yeah, it's probably the only Spike Lee film I will actually say I enjoy watching is He's Got Game. There's not
Hmm.
Spike Lee films out there that I would say I'd like watching. Or Malcolm X. Isn't Malcolm X a Spike Lee film too?
Yeah. Spike Lee did.
Yeah, I'll take that back because I did like Malcolm X. So Malcolm X is one of my other favorite.
Yeah, Spike Lee did direct it.
But yeah.
The Bone Collector with Angelina Jolie.
So yeah, I'll let's leeway into Tom Hanks because you already brought up Philadelphia. It's
Hmm.
one of his first big roles, and it is his first Oscar win with Tom Hanks. Philadelphia was.
Oh, really? Okay.
Philadelphia was his first Oscar win, and then he had back to back because that's when Forrest Gump came out the following.
Hmm.
Forrest Gump to me, and you will probably agree, is probably by far his most iconic role out there. Period.
Yeah. No, I mean Forrest Gump, I was actually watching it while we were recording, just finished up a couple minutes ago. No, absolutely like legendary role of his, right? I mean, you never know what you're gonna get, you
Well, you
know.
got that. You got, Big. Big is one of my
Mhm.
favorite comedy movies with him in it.
Yeah.
Turner and Hooch has always been a family classic to me. Let's go over his other big 90 movie or a couple other ones. A League of Their Own.
A
Is
League of Their Own.
I love there's no crying in
In
baseball.
baseball. Yeah.
Or when he's
Stillwell, get Stillwell over here.
he got him. It's just those
Yeah.
iconic, funny moments that you love with Tom Hanks.
Hmm.
And him and Gina Davis in that film.
Yeah.
That I would put as an iconic duo because anytime they're together, it's fun to watch them. Let's go over some of his other ones. He had Toy Story. Toy Story,
Right. It was Woody.
yeah,
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
iconic. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, Saving Private Ryan. That was
Yeah.
a big '90s film with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you probably know what's my favorite movie with him of all time. Come on, we did it. Come on.
Road to Perdition, man. Of course.
One of my favorite movies with him. Another one I enjoy with him lately, and there's other great movies, but I don't want to go into all of them because he does play in a lot of movies. Polar Express, things like that, right?
Hmm.
I loved him in It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. As
Okay. I never got to watch that.
it is actually really good. I was
Oh,
skeptical
really?
about it when it first came out, but I watched it because of Tom Hanks. I was like, "Oh,
Hmm.
give it a chance, and I enjoyed it. He plays
Okay.
um he does a lot of what was it? Bridge of Spies is another great one of his.
Hmm.
But
Bridge of Spies. I know that's a Steven Spielberg movie, right?
It's a Cold War movie, and that's another great duo too. Spielberg and Hanks are a great duo.
Mhm.
Want to.
Yeah, they're all. I mean, Saving Private Ryan's a Steven Spielberg movie
Yeah, yeah.
production. Yeah,
But you know, I
The Da Vinci Code.
I don't like those movies. I'll put it out there right now. I am not a fan of it. What's good? So, Sleepless in Seattle, romance,
Mm-hmm.
The Green Mile,
Joe and the Volcano.
John Fucking. I love him. The Green Mile. It's a very sad story.
Yeah, it is.
A Man Called Otto. That's a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy him. Castaway.
Catch Me If You Can.
If you can, You Got Mail. What was it?
He was just in the new Wes Anderson movie,
Yep.
Asteroid City.
He was in one of your favorite actresses movie, Larry Crown.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot of good movies with him in it, and it's just amazing to see how versatile he is as well. Splash is another big one. That's him and John Candy in that.
Yeah.
That's an
John
old
Candy, man. I love John Candy.
Apollo 13.
Mm-hmm.
Gary Sines in that movie too, as co
Yeah.
Forrest Gump. Sully, Captain Phillips. You know, you have iconic movies with this.
Is Sully pretty good? I've never seen.
It's a Clint Eastwood film. And
Okay.
it's directed by Clint Eastwood. And
Isn't Aaron Eckhart in it too?
yes, he's the co-pilot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like Aaron Eckhart.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Aaron Eckhart. Well, I almost had him on my list too as honorable.
Because yeah, you can't have all dark.
I
dark.
like most of the Dark Knight actors. Okay, I like Aaron Eckhart. I love him. He's a great actor. He's a very underrated. But yeah, that ends our actors list, and that wraps up this. So fans, let us know what you think about our list. Let us know what your top fives are and your iconic actors list. Let us know what your most hatred actors. We've talked about some of my favorite like actors I cannot stand on in Hollywood. But let us know in those comments. Check us out on all social medias on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. What was it? Just for Flicks. I'm gonna turn it back over to Patty B to end this.
Yeah. Thank you guys for everything. Thank you, B Dog, for joining me tonight. And as always, just remember, we do it just for flicks.